So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Friday, January the 1st, 2021. It's the first time I've said that. And we welcome you to the show. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And if you press 1, that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and your questions because that makes this your show. We'll give Michael just a moment to get in, and then I would like to read something that actually I got it from one person and Michael got it from another person, so it's must be a public writing, but it's really comical. Not necessarily comical. It is awesome, but the way that it's written, so it says, Happy New Year. Hello and welcome to Flight 2021. We are prepared to take off into the new year. Please make sure your attitude and blessings are secure and locked in an upright position. Your positive energy will be our fuel on this flight. All self-destructive devices should be turned off at this time. All negativity, hurt, and discouragement should be packed away. Should we lose attitude under pressure during the flight, reach up and pull down a prayer. Prayers will automatically be activated by faith. Once your faith is activated, you can assist other passengers. There will be no baggage allowed on this flight. Our destination to greatness and love. So I think that's awesome. Oh, okay. Michael can't get in as host. Apparently, Dr. Tim, you're still connected. And so if you can disconnect, Michael will try again to get in. So, Joan asks, is Dr. Tim doing a lesson a day from the Course in Miracles or another book? He's doing it from the Course in Miracles. And like he was just telling me, he went over the introduction and the first 3 lessons, which we'll cover today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And then Monday he will be doing the 4th. So he's going to be doing one a day, and then, of course, on the weekends, it will be up to you to do your own lesson. And so he's planning on doing them through the whole year for 365. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart. Welcome, everybody. It's awesome. This is the Course in Miracles. It's going to start another round with Dr. Tim. I decided that I'm going to do something. That's probably better now, isn't it?
Yeah.
My apology. I have my speakerphone on. So I decided that, well, Happy New Year, first of all. Delighted that you're here. Delighted you're part of this conversation and moving forward. And when I heard that Dr. Tim was going to do Course in Miracles, I decided that what I would do is pick up and one of the parallels, part of what this whole body work has come out of has been the Course in Miracles. And I was working with the Course fairly extensively as I wrote the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And so I decided that what I'm going to do each day for this year is read a little bit of Why Is This Happening to Me Again? If you want to follow along, if you don't have a copy of the book, you can go to our website, whyagain.org, and you can download the book free and print it. You can jump online, and if you look at Amazon or eBay, and I'm sure other places as well, though my book is out of print, you can usually find a used copy there fairly inexpensively. So you can have a paper copy to follow along if you don't want to print one on your own. So I'm going to just start from the very beginning of the book, which is, if you're not familiar with it, a conversation with a character named Richard, who's a recalcitrant kind of guy who's going through his 3rd divorce, and he's getting out of Dodge. He knows that, the problem in his life is these women, and so he's going to take the geographic tour and get out of town. And someone recommends that he stop by and visit me at Heartland. So we sit down and have a conversation. So the whole book is a conversation between myself and this character named Richard. The introduction, which is what I'm going to start with today, was written by James Redfield. Jim was the author of the second best-selling book in the world in 1995, Celestine Prophecy. If you haven't read that, it's a worthy read. And Jim was actually in my workshops and my classes in Birmingham back in those days, and we spent quite a bit of time coordinating back and forth, and Jim wrote the introduction to my book. So he starts out and says, I first heard of Michael Ryce's work in 1988. He was speaking in Birmingham, Alabama, and while I was unaware of his lecture at the time, I felt an unusual urge to drive to this location that day. Over and over, the intuition penetrated my awareness. And just as many times, I told myself that I was too busy. I'd planned to work with all day at my desk, and I resisted changing my agenda. Still, the image kept coming to mind repeatedly. I saw myself getting up and going there. Finally, after hours of procrastination, I did just that. When I arrived, the lecture was over and Michael had left, but enough people remained to let me know what I'd missed. The breadth of this guy's knowledge is amazing, one person told me. He brings a new and original understanding of relationship dynamics. He talks about the translation of ancient Aramaic texts and findings of modern physics. He pulls them all together in a way that makes sense. You missed it, but you're in luck. He has several workshops on tape, and it's all there. Later, I searched out these tapes and found one of the titles, Why Is This Happening to Me Again?, staring down at me from a shelf located in the bookstore. When I got home, I found that listening to his tapes was to take an amazing journey through the world of inner healing and through Michael Ryce's mind. My friends were right. The gift Michael has is to synthesize the many diverse elements of the human experience and bring them together in a clear picture of human growth in the world, especially growth that comes about as a result of relationships we encounter with other human beings. His foundation is so diversified, it's hard to pin down its exact source. He holds that everyone who comes into our lives is there to teach us something. And he buttresses this foundation by synthesizing the original meanings from the Aramaic scriptures and a new worldview presented by modern physics, which indicates that the force of our intention goes out and influences the world. He emphasizes the understanding that this influence is not restricted to just conscious thought, but that applies to the unconscious state of mind as well. In other words, the way we think about the world and the unconscious attitudes we harbor to a great degree influence what happens in our lives. That's why the title of his tape series and his book you're about to read is so poignant and totally on target. Why Is This Happening to Me Again is what all of us feel at one time or another if we're open and honest. We feel this way because our unconscious habits of mind keep bringing the same types of people and events into our lives, and will continue to do so until we change the mental patterns that attract such outcomes. What Michael is doing is offering a coherent system for change by which we can remove the self-defeating obstacles that block the way and open up to the real path that awaits us in life. It's a journey of clearing that each of us must take sooner or later. Of the approaches I've seen on how our thoughts and habits affect what happens in life, Michael Ryce's work is the most succinct and helpful at opening us to growth. If you're like I was, thinking you don't have time, pause a moment and take a tip from me. Exploration into your inner beliefs and expectations through Michael's work right now can shift your life forever. Thanks, Michael, for the inspiration all these years. James Redfield. So thank you, James, for writing the introduction to my book. And it was a delight to be one of the first people that when James originally published Celestine Prophecy, he self-published. I was speaking in Pensacola the week that he got books, and he drove down, and I think I got the first 2 boxes of books, aside from the ones he gave to close friends and such. He came down and we put them up on the tape table, and we did a mailing all over the country and kind of helped to get that going. So thanks for the reciprocation, James. And that's, precisely what my purpose in life is, what my goal is each time I interact with a new piece of information, is to bring it into a picture of how does this energy field called life work. And the works that we do impact what happens in this energy field. Therefore, as we clean up the works that we do, which of course all come from our minds, we change the game of life. Probably one of the most common comments that I've gotten over the years, especially from people who've done a lot of different types of work, who are really on a path consciously and purposely, is everything that I always knew I now understand. And that's part of what we're looking to do, is to put every aspect of the experience of life into a puzzle. It's like life is this 5 trillion piece jigsaw puzzle, and nobody's got the box top. So I purposely, consciously set out to create a box top so that you could take every experience that you have and put it in a place that makes sense. And by so doing, take your place within the energy system. And shifting from a place where we really aren't in the place we're designed to be, where that is called a disease process, whether the disease appears physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, financial, doesn't matter. All of those things that contribute to discomfort are disease energies that we don't belong in. And the work of healing is really aligning yourself and doing what it takes to allow this magnificent something in which we live, move, and have our being to enter into us in a new way, to enter into us in a way that it reorganizes. And you break that word down, organize. What is this organic structure? And you can do all the head thinking you want and all the pillow pounding and beating trees with a bat or, whatever. And none of that is going to put you in the place you need to be for life to enter into you and shift whatever needs to shift in order for you to take your rightful place within this magnificent energy system, which is totally and completely locked into a conspiracy. And the conspiracy is to hold you in wholeness and well-being and delight and joy and happiness and eternal life. That's the conspiracy of life. And people fight at every turn. I think it was Richard Bach in one of his books said, argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. And I can't tell you how often somebody steps up and takes what obviously has created destructive results in their lives and fought to say, yes, but this was a good thing for me. Our offering, as a bottom line with this work, is that we each started out as connected beings generated from this energy field we call love, made in the image and likeness of love. They are the energies that are designed to operate and resonate throughout this field we call a body and the world in which we live, move, and have our being. Unfortunately, many times we're impacted by generations and generations and generations of energetic patterns that don't have anything to do with supporting your human life. And that would be anything that's based in any form of hostility, fear, rage, guilt, grief, vile language, vile thoughts. And vile thoughts are those thoughts, language that are not based in love. we were speaking to someone last night that called, and we asked how they were doing and how their year went last year, and it was kind of interesting because we had just finished our New Year's greeting with Jeannie's dad and myself, and it was about moving into deeper levels, deeper experiences of living as human beings, as love, and being supported in creating out of that love, one of my favorite phrases, the best year yet of your eternal life. And as we asked how her year went, we had told her she was on speakerphone, and she asked if anybody was in earshot, was listening. And we said, well, just Jeannie and I. And then she came out with about one of the vilest words that our culture has to offer. And having just, done our New Year's toast with our our sparkling apple cider, it was like, for me, it was kind of like a shock wave of energy that just rippled through me. It's like, where does this conversation, where does this language, where does this kind of thinking fit into a human life? And why would anybody go there? I can remember over the years of doing this work, many times going back to early years in my life, and the kind of language that went on around me, the kind of thinking, and it was just mind-boggling. It's like, why would anybody ever go there? Why were we ever even introduced as human beings to these kinds of energetic patterns? And then recognizing that in the ancient Aramaic language, the word forgive is the tool with which you remove from your mind what never belonged there. The whole process of this work is a wake-up call to rid ourselves of those energetic patterns that don't belong. And, it takes building the brain cells, as we talked about in yesterday's show. It takes reorganizing one's own energy field and literally meeting the conditions for the energy of wholeness and healing to move in us. If you go back to the last 10 years of radio shows, an hour a day, 5 days a week for the first 8 years of it. The last couple of years, it's been 2 hours a day. You won't find Dr. Kim or myself speaking a word other than instructions and understanding and comprehension of how to meet the conditions to come into alignment with this energy field and become the receiver of reorganization. Being reorganized, literally the organic structure, being restructured as an expression of the energy in which we live, move, and have our being. Jeannie, Aria Rain at 28 months now, circling the earth, is kind of at the stage where oftentimes we pull the camera out, she's like, no picture. But a couple of days ago, she was drinking some eggnog, and she asked Jeannie to take a picture, and just took, for me, what is just, I've looked at that picture probably 30 times in the last 2 days. It is just the sweetest face, the sweetest expression of wholeness and being that I can imagine. And then this morning on my Facebook page, what popped up was a memory from 2 years ago, and it's that same sweet face. And the difference in that face over 2 years is, for me, the best documentation that your and my organic structure is nothing but a reflection of what stands behind it and organizes it. It is a piece of plastic. If you look at that little face from 2 years ago, when she was 8 months encircling the earth, and you look at that little piece of plastic 2 years later, it's clear that This is not a physical thing. This is a state of organized energy becoming. And when we each recognize that we are in a state of becoming, and if we're not becoming according to the original design, then we'll be going by whatever controls us. And oftentimes what controls us is generations and generations and generations of insanity. And many people get locked in those generational patterns for a very, very long time. So what are the conditions? Let's imagine I'm an electrical engineer. My background is in electronic design. And I don't know if you're familiar with the principle of a transformer, but let's say that I've got 550 volts coming into my house, and I want to bring that down to 110 volts or 120 volts to run my refrigerator. What do I have to do? Do I pray to the electrical gods? Do I supplicate the Creator? What do I do in order to get that, to squeeze that 120 volts out of 550? Well, what I do is I create what's called a transformer. And this work is your transformer. The transformer, if I have the right size metal frame and I wrap a coil of wire a particular number of times around that frame, then as 550 volts is applied to that coil of wire, the electricity running through the wire sets up an electrical field. If I have a second metal frame and I wrap it with the right number of turns of the wire, then put those two within proximity of each other, out the other end of the transformer, I get 120 volts and I run my refrigerator. Now, I can do 800 billion other things, and I'll never get 120 volts to run my refrigerator. There's only one way I can do it. I've got to meet the conditions for that transformer to step down the voltage so that I can run my refrigerator. It's the only way you can do that. We live, move, and have our being in a power supply that is enormous, absolutely enormous. And because people refuse to understand how this energy field works, they do all kinds of crazy things. They spit vile words at their friends and spouses and children and parents and neighbors and political enemies. And they think somehow, this is what's going to get me what I want. And they go deeper and deeper and deeper into pain, trauma, disease, and insanity, because those are the conditions that produce those results. If in fact, if you hold a newborn child and you tap into the essence of the newborn, you know that the essence of life is that of love. If you listen to this man, Yeshua, from 2,000 years ago, his purpose was singular. He didn't say anything about dogmas or doctrines, churchianity. He didn't say anything about all that stuff that humans have made out of it. His vision was singular. I come to bring you life and bring it more abundantly. And just like that transformer, I've got to align those two metal bodies, and I've got to have the right number of coils around each of those ends of the transformer to get what I want to come out of the other end. We have this piece of plastic. It looks like solid physical stuff, but just look at Ari's picture from 2 years ago and today, or your own picture from 2 years ago or today, or any newborn, and look at them 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's obvious there's a state of becoming happening. The way that we interact with this energy field, just like the way that these two electrical fields that create this transformer operate, determines what the voltage output, what the result is, whether I can run my refrigerator or not. If you found yourself in a dis-ease state, and that means there's some sort of pain going on for you, physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is, some sort of lack going on for you, then you've got to recognize that you're out of alignment with the energy system. And you're becoming, if you're out of alignment, your development, the literal regeneration of your cellular structure, your mind, your awareness, your capacity, your faculties, will be determined by the relationship between that source, that 550-volt source, and the result that you want to bring down into the world. If you want healing, you've got to meet its conditions. In order to get the 120 volts to run my refrigerator, I had to align those metal bodies called a transformer. I had to have the right number of winds on one side of the transformer, the right number of winds on the other side of the transformer, and when they were in proper alignment and when the number of winds was correct, I got the output that I wanted. Our work here, and you know, I go back into the early days of doing this work, and I realized that when people heard the truth, in other words, how to align, in one conceptual language or another, it was exciting for them. Oh, wow, that's so cool. I like that. Boy, that's an insight. That's an opening for me. But it didn't change their lives. It was when people heard the message in several conceptual frameworks simultaneously that they were able to align with and shift their own energy patterns. And so you'll hear me refer to, as Jim said, the ancient Aramaic scriptures. You'll hear me refer to physics. You'll hear me refer to psychology. You'll hear me refer to many, many different disciplines, because all disciplines, and I think it was Winston Churchill that said, we have the privilege of being separated by a common language. All disciplines are talking about exactly the same thing, because there's only one thing to talk about: this energy field in which we live, move, and have our being. If we take a psychological language, then we're going to talk about that energy field from the perspective of psychology. If we take it from a theological perspective, we're going to speak about it in a theological perspective. If we're going to talk about physics, we're going to speak of it. But the truth is, they're all talking about the same thing. And when you hear the message in several conceptual languages simultaneously, it makes it easier to come into that alignment that is so necessary to meet the conditions for the energy transfer to take place, for transformation to occur physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, financially. And when that transformation takes place, it's yours. There may be other layers to be healed. There may be other circumstances in which you need to meet those conditions again, and you may have to do it again and again and again and again and again. Because the "why is this happening to me again" question has played out in your mind so often, in so many arenas. Probably the greatest atrocity done to us as human beings down through the ages is that we've had hidden from us the fact that we are by nature creators. And when you recognize your creatorship, you recognize that what happens in your life is a result of how you have aligned and as an energetic transformer brought energies into your world that you call the results you produce. If you don't like them, those results, then the first order of business is not to change everybody else and make sure everybody else knows they're to blame, but the first order of business is to take responsibility and listen to the warning signals that you're off base. And as you listen to those warning signals, then you acquire tools and skills that empower you to shift into the alignment that meets the conditions for the transformative energies to enter into you in a way that it brings transformation. And you break that word down, transformation, form, going beyond the form. We see all sorts of things in the world. We become tricked into thinking those things are real, and we're trapped in an expression and think that the expression is the cause. And because we're creators, when we engage in an expression, the expression for us becomes cause. But it is not cause. It is effect. And when I recognize that, and I meet the conditions of realigning myself energetically by removing those energetic patterns that maybe have gone on for 100 generations in my bloodline. When I change those things, everything changes. And we're here to support the change of everything. That we each realize who we are as human beings, and that we live, move, and have our being in that space of active love that we are designed for. And you are designed to be hooked up to this 550-volt power supply called love, moving through a transformer and step that energy down into expression in the world where love becomes, the literal active presence of love becomes the major guiding energy of the system. And so we'll be exploring that throughout the year as we move forward and look into why is this happening to me again. And we'll bounce that off of every other discipline that we've engaged in as well. And we're honored that you're here to be part of the conversation. Miss Jeannie, do you have any thoughts for us?
We have a hand up, and it's actually
Let's
Bob from Australia. Hello, Captain.
Oh, wow. Welcome, young man.
Hey.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, and Happy New Year to you, beautiful people. And,
well, thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to quickly share stuff that's been prompted by what you've been sharing. I too use that analogy of the jigsaw puzzle. I believe that everybody holds a piece of the puzzle, and the more that they heal, the more complete their piece of the puzzle becomes, and so the clearer the big picture becomes for all of us. Yeah, I love that analogy. And also, I got this feeling that this coming year is going to be absolutely awesome, and that everything is unfolding perfectly. And I agree with your statement about creator, for I do create my life, which is why it's so awesome. It would be silly of me to create anything. It would be silly of me to create anything less than an awesome life. So I love it. I love it. And that's
I'm in agreement with
you.
Sweet. Sweet. I'm with you. And I remember, as you've sometimes shared, the times when we weren't aware of that and unconscious and did something else. It's nice to get free of the craziness, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've come to realize that the only time my life gets complicated is when my mind has snuck back into the driving seat. So pictorially, I just reach in and grab my mind by the scruff of its neck, throw it in the trunk, and put my heart back in put my heart back in the driving seat, and my life is simple again. Because for me, life's supposed to be simple. I reckon the universe operates under the KISS principle. Keep it simple, sovereign.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm with you on that 100%, sir. That's fabulous.
Good on you, brother.
All right. You have a blessed New Year, best one yet of your eternal life, and we'll join you in it. Bring that to the world. The world's certainly in desperate need of it right now.
Yeah, well, I've come to realize there are all these people going around, oh, I've got to wake him up, I've got to wake her up. And my position is that I cannot wake anybody up. That's their job. All I can do is to just simply let my own light shine. And
bring your piece of puzzle to the fore.
That's all I can do. Okay, have a great time, and I'll keep listening.
All right, my friend. Blessings. Nice to say hello. All right, take care. So we give the whole Australian continent, New Zealand, a hug, sending that light and that love to all brothers and sisters there.
Absolutely. Well,
and around every corner of the globe. Oh, tell me.
Yeah. I got a text from our anonymous donor, and she wanted me to make sure to announce it again. We did announce yesterday, but the first $1,000 match that was set to be by December 31st was met, and now we have a second anonymous donor challenge, and they will match up to $1,000. That's donated by January 15th to the Forest Institute, a.k.a. Heartland, in honor of Patrick Quinn and other veterans as they forgive their PTSD and transition to the next leg of their journeys, streaming love from our eyes to yours, Patrick Quinn. And this is in addition to the $250 a month that's to be given throughout the year of 2021, and that has also been met. So I love these challenges.
That's sweet to have that support. Thank you to everybody in the community for that.
Yeah.
And is Julie on the show by chance today? Julie Haverson?
I'll look, but we do have another hand up. And Bob just said, how can a globe have corners? Every corner of the globe. So, were you going to say something before I turn the next caller on?
Well, no, let's go to our caller, and I'll bring that up.
Okay. Area code 541. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Yes, this is Celinda, and I'm smiling.
Hey, young lady, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Tell Bob that was the four corners of the globe is probably Flatlander thinking. So, old stuff. Anyway, I really enjoyed Bob's offering about the puzzle pieces and how as we clear our alignment and get it in line with Source, that our puzzle piece shines brighter and brighter. And I wanted to restate a comment I made once a long time ago on the show about I had a perception of each one of souls being a lens in the eye of God. And I love that visual too, because if you think of a fly or something like that, some sort of creature with multiple lenses in their eye, each one of us would be an eye in the lens of God. And so, and because I'm dealing with cataracts and wanting to heal them, I realized, so if a puzzle piece grows brighter and brighter, so the picture gets clearer and clearer, then my image, my visual of being a lens in the eye of God is it's a matter of me of cleansing my lens to its original state of clarity. And I just wanted to share that because I thought it was very apt in relation to what Bob said, and thank you, Bob, for calling in and making a special call. Thank you, and enjoy New Year's, and I'm so excited for 2021, and so let's go for it.
It's in the plan. And Another thought that you bring forward, I don't know if you've ever done any study of holograms, but the world of holograms is pretty interesting because a hologram, if you take a hologram and break it into 1,000 pieces, you don't have 1,000 different parts of a puzzle. You have the same image in every broken off piece as you had in the whole. The only difference is each time it's fractionated, each time it's broken. If we take a particular hologram and we break it in half, the resolution and clarity in each half will be a little bit less than the whole was. And if you break it into fourths, then each piece of the four will be a little less clear, a little less visibly perfect than the whole was or the two were. If you break it into 1,000 pieces, then each little piece gets pretty fuzzy, but the whole picture's there that was in the hologram as well. And I think that's a really good metaphor for, as Bob was saying, that each of us has a unique energy, a unique piece of the puzzle to bring to the earth. And when we are fulfilling our purpose, and that's one of the reasons we do that workshop, Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment, and invite people to align, because it's the alignment that brings the clarity. And when each of us brings our whole puzzle piece in to connect with every other brother and sister on the planet, which means the 7.5 billion cells that make up our body, then the whole picture becomes very clear. And I think it's an excellent metaphor for the idea that Yeshua came forward with 2,000 years ago as a physicist, that a little leavening leavens the whole loaf. Not speaking about bread, but as each of us becomes a leavening, as each of us taps into that alignment, becomes that second half of the transformer that brings in the energies we're designed to, and have cleared out the interfering energies that would distort, then the whole becomes more available and shows with greater clarity to everyone. And of course, the greater the clarity is, the easier it is for people to be attracted to it, participate, and bring their piece back together. I love, Einstein's thought where he says, if you think you're separate or separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion.
Right.
And when we start to realize that we are all cells in one structure and each of us has something unique to bring, no one any more or less important than the other, when we all bring our pieces to this thing called life, then I think we're going to get a whole new set of instructions from headquarters on what this game is really about, because it's not about, there's another great metaphor out there, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and, where he says, life is not about fighting for power in the flock and fish heads on the beach. You realize this is something else. So thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome, and it reminds me, speaking in technological terms, of the pixels that a camera has. How many pixels does a camera have? So if we're a teeny tiny camera of the divine, giant, and magnificent camera, if someone's into technology, maybe they could relate to that. And there's some story, perhaps you know where it comes from, I don't know if it's Hindu or Sufi, about the mirror of God and how it breaks into all these little shards, and it's scattered all over the face of the earth, and it's like each one of us is a little shard of the original mirror, and if that were all put together, that's unity. All is one. Allah.
The story that I recount in my book about the little girl who's very busy in her life, and mom's always trying to find things to keep her occupied. And one day she finds a magazine with a picture of the world in it. And she decides, as she's been teaching geography to her child, to cut the map of the world into pieces, every country, cut it separately, and give it to her to put together as a puzzle. And within just a few minutes, the 4-year-old comes back with the world. I mean, she's got the puzzle solved. It's together. And the mother's like, sweetheart, I couldn't even done. How did you do that? She said, well, Mom, I noticed when you were cutting up that map of the world that there was a picture of a little girl on the other side. I put the little girl together and the whole world came together.
Yep. Yep.
So when we each do our work and clarify our piece of the puzzle and show up as a human, that's when everything rocks. So we're here to rock it.
Well, Michael, I've heard you say that story about 5 or 6 times, and just now I must have had the brain cells to connect that story to my little inner child. So thank you very much.
Sweet. Building brain cells.
Building brain cells. Amen and amen.
And a woman.
Yes. Amen and
yes.
amen. Amen, right. I'm saying the correct pronunciation here.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, you have a blessed day and an awesome New Year. Tell Larry we said hello and send our love.
Well, I'm glad to know about that new challenge, because now my contribution will get under that wire. Won't that be nice?
Sweet. Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Much appreciation. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
And Julie is on. She's listening. She didn't press 1, so I can turn her mic on and see if she's in a place where she can talk.
Okay.
Julie, welcome. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you?
We are well, and I just wanted to acknowledge you and say hello and see how you be.
I be good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, things are good. I mean, I have my moments where, I'm processing out my own emotion. I know it's mine. But on a whole, things are good. I told you, and you wanted me to speak on the radio show. Hang on a minute. I want to take a breath and some water.
Okay, we'll breathe with you.
I told you that I was hearing from Patrick, and that on Christmas Eve, when I was driving back from Kathy's, he communicated to me intuitively, and then there was also with that intuition was this expression of feeling. And what he said was that he was here and that he was conscious enough to be able to stay here, and that he was going to do his work on the plane of where he was at. He said that the form, or body as we call it, is very heavy energy, and his energy is a lot lighter now, and plans on continuing to move forward with, his work and being supportive of me also in a different way. And so, yeah, it's been interesting because I've had different interactions with him at different times, and it feels very, it's different because, he doesn't communicate as he did in a form. He communicates intuitively, but it's always very, when he communicates on target, it's always moving me forward to, think differently or hold the space of love or be more aware of what's going on around me. He's also directed me into, I've asked him what he would like done, with, his remains and his memorial type situation, and he's been guiding me there also. So I do think it's wonderful. It's actually fantastic because it goes along with with what happened with my mom and what happened with my dad, and it seems like I must be ready to receive that. But what I get is, and this is for anybody that to look at the form, is that the energy that Patrick's experiencing is much easier to manage than the energy that is physical, so to speak, and that our form is what I've been getting to is an expression device. We are expressing for God, and and how we express. If it's either love or if it's not love, well, then that's our work to do. But right now, when he's expressing in the form of love. And he's very comfortable where he's at.
Sweet.
Yeah. Is there something else you would like me to share?
No, just with the fact that the second challenge was inspired and dedicated primarily to Patrick. So that fact that came into the conversation, it just seemed like it'd be an appropriate space if you were available to offer tribute to Patrick and appreciation in what you had shared about, even though he's left his body, that he's there alive and well and in full communication. It's pretty sweet.
Right. Yes. And you and I have talked about this before. I don't know if you remember when years ago I had a dream, and it was when we were on the road. And in that dream, I kept asking, are these people alive? And they said, no. And then I would take it to another level. Look at all these people, what they do in the world and everything. Are these people alive? And then the answer was, no, they're not alive. And, I kept thinking if a person made major contributions to humanity, then they were alive. And the response was, no, they're not alive. And finally, I said, well, I just don't get it. And then it was, you're alive if you're connected to Source. Otherwise, you're really not.
Yeah, it takes more than just a set of programs unfolding in the replicate mind to truly be alive, to truly claim our human beingness and express and experience from that.
Right. Well, and what I was basically saying is, that we have an illusion of thinking that we're alive because we get up every day and the sun comes down, sun comes up, and, moon comes up, and so on. We're alive, we eat, and so on. But it was saying that true aliveness is being connected to that source energy. That's the aliveness. And I think that's who Patrick is experiencing, that aliveness. And whoever made the contribution today in honor of him, I want to thank them, because that was great to hear. It really was. Yeah. Patrick loved the spiritual work and loved the spiritual community, so I really appreciate that.
For sure. And his memorial that he built, starting, I guess, about 2.5 years ago, or had built, the bell tower, is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome space. And if it happens to work, it would be nice to have at least some of his ashes enshrined there.
Oh, I plan on it. Let me tell you, I do. And, he had asked me to get it complete, so I'm going to work on that too. He had certain requests that he would like to have happen, and that was one of them. It was definitely on his mind.
It was his project for sure. He definitely.
Right.
I mean, it's awesome. If anybody hasn't seen it, and Jeannie, maybe you can put a link to a picture of it. But, a few years back, Jeannie and I decided that we were going to do a renovation of the Heart Center, and it was going to be changed into the Heartland Lighthouse. And Patrick had a stone lighthouse built just outside of the front of the building, and it's awesome.
Right.
So thank you, Patrick, for that. So.
Yeah, and he built a rose garden. He saw a rose plant all by itself, and he built a rose garden around the rows, and he built a bench coming up the hill because he saw so many people when they were coming from the city, and doing an intensive, and they went down to the lake. They would get tired, so they would sit on the rock wall, and he thought that wasn't very comfortable, so he built a bench right across by the well house.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So in lots of ways, he saw a need and worked towards meeting that need. That's just a nice asset.
For sure. Thank you, Patrick. We hold you in a blessing, hold you in our hearts. Cool. Well, any other thoughts for you, young lady?
I'm just going to be, picking up his remains tomorrow. So surround us, Joanne and I, in love and light, and we've had different weather type conditions, and I found a beautiful hand-carved box for him, and he loved Bailey Camp, so one of my ceremonies will be to bury some of his ashes at Bailey Camp in that beautiful handmade cedar box, and he will be he'll be thrilled about it. He loved things that were handmade, that were unique, where there were no nails put into it, just simply put together like a puzzle.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Well, we'll have to create something. You talked about a plaque, but we'll have to create something for the lighthouse that will have a container of some sort for some of his ashes, so his vibration is there.
Yes, I definitely would like a plaque. And he actually was building that lighthouse for me to, for gratitude for all the years of service that I have been here at Heartland. So I will honor that too and put a little thing, a little plaque on there, and because that was his wish too.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the plaque can be designed in a way that there's some kind of a container built into it that would carry some of his ashes.
Yeah, let's put that vibration out there and create it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Maybe somebody has an idea of how we can do that. So we'll open that to the community for support, and then we'll keep people posted. Mm-hmm. We're planning to do a Zoom memorial service. I'm not sure what time it's going to look like, but as that plan unfolds, we'll let everybody know, and anybody who wants a link to it will certainly link you in and make you part of that celebration of Patrick's life, his impact on Heartland.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
So do I. All right, well, holding that your day is blessed and your new year is the best one yet of your eternal life, and things rock on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You too.
All right. Blessings. Thank you.
And Julie,
Bye-bye.
Lisa is in the chat room, and she says she's sending love to you and that she is so glad to hear your voice.
Oh. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. Sending love back to you.
All right. We're down to a little over a minute. There's no other hands up right now. So if you want to just do a closure.
Well, we'll just say that, if anyone's interested in the intensive coming up, it'll start on the 27th of January. It'll be for 14 weeks, 4 hours per week of self-study video, 56 hours. And then 2 hours per week will be on Wednesday evenings from 6 till 8 o'clock. We'll be doing with that intensive group, Codependence to Interdependence Communication Practicum. And so we'll add another 28 hours of live video to that already existing. It's actually 58 hours that's in existence, and that will be permanently available to everyone who chooses to participate. And if you're interested in participation, if you've got my cell number, call me or drop Jeannie a note, JEANIE at WHYagain.org. Make sure to include your phone number, and we'll talk to you. Blessings, and have the best year yet of your eternal life.